Diluc of Mondstat. Not interested in idle chit-chat. If you have things you want to get done, let me know.
This is Diluc. This is Diluc. So Diluc won, to no surprise. You guys completely demolished it. 34,000 votes with 55% of those going to Diluc. I think that is the highest percentage-wise vote that we've had so far, which is pretty cool. Interestingly, after this, we literally have Zhangling, Barbara, Chongyun, and Lisa left. I'm 99% sure that's it. I got Diluc off of the Albedo banner. Pending that it works this way, I should get Ganyu guaranteed on her banner because the pity should carry over. Super hyped for her. But anyways, we are going to be taking a look at Diluc today. If you don't know who Diluc is, do you even play this game? So Diluc is a Pyro Claymore user, and he is pretty much, a lot of people refer to him as like easy mode, which I understand. His numbers are stupid high. A lot of his stuff is like super busted. Even at level 6, you can see a lot of these numbers seem really, really high. And he just has like all of this stuff going towards just being an absolute demon when it comes to damage. So let's take a look at these talents. So our normal attack just performs 4 consecutive strikes. Our charge attack is kind of unique. As a Claymore user, we swing it back and forth similar to other characters, and we do end with a powerful slash. Plunging attack is pretty much standard, just fall from the air in style and do some damage when we hit. Now, as you can see, this is how they break down at level 6. You can see all 4 of the normal hits, and then you can see our spitting damage and our final hit damage on the charged attack, how much stamina that costs, 40 per second. That's actually not a lot. It's pretty nice. Max duration at 5 seconds and plunging damage and yada yada yada. You can see all that there. Now we have our elemental skill, which is called Searing Onslaught. Performs a forward slash that deals pyro damage. The skill can be used 3 times consecutively. It does enter a cooldown if it's not cast again within a short period. So essentially this is like a 3-hit combo. You can fire this 1, 2, 3 times in a row, or you can fire it once, do a normal attack, do 2 normal attacks, hit it. Do 2 normal attacks again and hit it. Essentially, as long as you don't take too long in between the times that you cast it, you can essentially just weave in extra attacks with it as well. Here you can kind of see all 3 of those hits and how they break down. Pretty gnarly, especially that's a lot. Oh, and it's, you know, pure pyro damage, so keep that in mind. Next, we actually have Dawn, which is our elemental burst. Releases intense flames to knock nearby opponents back, dealing pyro damage. The flames then converge into the weapon, summoning a phoenix that flies forward and deals massive pyro damage to all opponents in its path. The Phoenix explodes upon reaching its destination, causing a large amount of AoE pyro damage. The searing flames that run down this pyro blade cause it to be infused with pyro. Alright, so there's a couple of different things to break down here. First hit is going to be pyro damage. The Phoenix is going to fly forward, dealing pyro damage to anything it comes in contact with. The Phoenix will explode when it reaches its destination, dealing pyro damage. And it imbues your sword with pyro. You can see the slashing damage whenever you cast it. You can see the damage over time as it's hitting the enemies as it travels, and explosion damage at the end of its path when it explodes. The cooldown on it is only 12 seconds, which is insane. Energy cost at 40, which is also insane, and the infusion duration is 8 seconds. So after you cast it and everything happens, you then turn your sword into a pyro damaging sword for an entire 8 seconds. So this is pretty gnarly because you can use this with a ton of different characters to just do an insane amount of reaction damage. So our first Ascension talent is called Relentless. Diluc's charge attack stamina is decreased by 50% and its duration is increased by 3 seconds. So essentially, instead of this 40, it's only going to cost 8, and its max duration goes up to 8 seconds, which is nice. At Ascension level 4, we do have Blessing of Phoenix. The pyro infusion provided by Dawn lasts for 4 seconds longer. Additionally, Diluc gains 20% pyro damage bonus during the duration of this effect. So instead of this being 8 seconds, it's increased by 4, which means cooldown and, you know, the duration are basically the same. So if you can build enough energy recharge to fire this off on cooldown, you will essentially always be able to do pyro damage. This is pretty gnarly, and 20% pyro damage bonus is insane considering that it imbues this with pyro, and you're going to be doing that all the time. This is already pyro, and this just does all kinds of pyro damage. 20% bonus damage on that. Pretty nice. And as our throwaway talent, we do have Tradition of the Dawn Knight refunds 15% of the ores used when crafting Claymore type weapons. So that's cool. I'm gonna assume, unless you are extremely lucky or just completely whale on this game, you probably don't have any of these, but they're still worth going over. So at level 1, Diluc deals 15% more damage to opponents whose HP is above 50%. So just a flat 15% to all damage is insane. At level 2, when Diluc takes damage, his attack increases by 10% and his attack speed increases by 5%, lasts for 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 3 times and can only occur once every 1.5 seconds. At Constellation level 2, if you by chance want to use the Serpent Spine, which is a recommendation on the weapons that we're going to talk about, essentially if you have C2 and the Serpent Spine, since this Constellation level 2 requires you to take damage, it kind of counteracts the whole effect of Serpent Spine. But that's just a quick note. At level 3, we do have a buff in Searing Onslaught by 3 levels, which is great. At level 4, casting Searing Onslaught in sequence greatly increases damage dealt. Within 2 seconds of using Searing Onslaught, casting the next Searing Onslaught in the combo deals 40 additional damage. This effect lasts for the next 2 seconds. So essentially you are just stacking more and more and more damage. At level 5, increases Dawn levels by 3, which is great. At level 6, after casting Searing Onslaught, the next 2 normal attacks within the next 6 seconds will have their damage and attack speed increased by 30%, and additionally, Searing Onslaught will not interrupt the normal attack combo. So this is kind of interesting because I think this is the only time we really see this, where because it's not going to interrupt the normal attack combo, what you could effectively do is you could hit for this first hit, you could do Searing Onslaught, then you can hit for your second and third hit, and then you can hit Searing Onslaught twice, so to speak, and then end on this 195. Whereas normally, what it would do is you would hit this first attack, hit Searing Onslaught, and then you would have to go back to this first attack. Very, very interesting. And the way that this scales upward slightly with second hit going down just slightly, this scaling upwards generally is very, very strong for that. So that's actually a really cool situation to be in. So when it comes to building Diluc, there's pretty much one clear-cut way, and that's DPS. Everything that is in his talents and his constellations, everything leans so heavily towards DPS, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to build him as a support. If he's not your main carry, that's fine, but you're still gonna build him to just do raw damage. With that being said, the best options to go for when it comes to weapons, unfortunately, the best ones are not very free-to-play friendly. Wolf's Gravestone, by far going to be the best weapon. Skyward Pride, which luckily I just randomly pulled. That's what I end up having on him. That one is really good. Energy Recharge. It's weird because you never see energy recharge on DPSs working super effectively, but because Diluc's burst is so cheap in terms of energy cost, you can almost always be able to fire it constantly, which is insane. So Skyward Pride actually does really, really good here. The Unforged is amazing. Serpent Spine is amazing, which if you didn't hear at C2, it kind of does mess up a little bit of stuff. So every 4 seconds a character is on the field, it will deal 6% more damage and take 3% more damage. This effect has a maximum of 5 stacks and will not reset if the character leaves the field, but will be reduced by 1 stack when the character takes damage. So that effect and the C2 effect does conflict with each other according to research. Be wary if you have C2 not to use Serpent Spine. And then Black Cliff Slasher also does work really well. Considering that Diluc has crit rate as his ascension stat, you basically can stack crit damage on a lot of different areas and get away with it and just do massive amounts of damage. Now, as far as some free-to-play weapons, Prototype Archaic, which was previously Prototype Aminus, is an amazing weapon here. Debate Club can work. It's not like the most optimal choice, but I would go Archaic over Debate Club, just personally. And then you could do the Snow Tomb Star Silver. So this one is a little weird. I've seen a lot of people talk about this weapon, and I do plan to do a video talking about it specifically because it seems really good on paper, and math proves that it actually has a ton of potential, but in practice, it's not as great. So you can try it out if you by chance leveled it up, but other than that, I would definitely, especially if you have the crafting materials, definitely either craft your first Archaic or just refine your Archaic, unless you just honestly need another Claymore. But So Diluc can be built pretty simply by just having a weapon with attack percent, crit rate, or crit damage, and then the 2 outliers would be Skyward Pride with energy recharge or Snow Tombed Star Silver, which does have physical damage. Now when it comes to artifacts, going to be kind of clean cut here. So top choice is going to be Crimson Witch of Flames. So the 4-piece set literally is tailored to Diluc. I literally think that MiHoYo was sitting up there and they were like, all right, how do we make Diluc even better? Let's just give him an artifact set that just busts him wide open. So not only is at a 2-piece going to increase your pyro damage, but at a 4-piece, it's going to increase overload and burning damage by 40% and increase vaporize and melt damage by 15%. And then using elemental skill increases 2-piece set bonus by 50% of its starting value for 10 seconds. Now, I'm pretty sure in the Bennett video, I did my head math completely off. And I think the way that this actually works is it's going to increase by 50% of the 15%. So it's not like it's going to give you 150% pyro damage bonus. That's a little much. What it's actually going to do is stack up to 3 times. So essentially, let me whip out my handy dandy calculator here. So we have 15 times 1.5, which is 22.5 at first stack, times 1.5, which is 33.75 at second stack, and then times 1.5, which is up to 50.625% extra pyro damage bonus at 3 stacks. That's insane. And the fact that you can fire off your elemental skill right after another, this is literally tailored for him. If you don't go with Crimson Witch of Flames, it's literally because you haven't started farming it yet. You need to eventually move into Crimson Witch of Flames, as it's just hands down going to be amazing. Okay. I'm waiting for AR40, AR45 to, start farming Crimson Witch of Flames. What should I do? Go with Gladiator's Finale in the meantime. It's going to be giving you a ton of attack, and it's going to be giving you a ton of extra damage on your normal attack. Because we are a Claymore user, it works perfectly with Diluc here, and it's going to be great. Well, I didn't, get a lot of, Gladiator's Finale pieces that were worth keeping. What else could I do? All right, so you could run 2 pieces of Gladiator's Finale, and then you could run anything that has the plus 18. So things like Braveheart, the Resolution of Sojourner, they make a ton of sense. And honestly, you can kind of mix and match with a lot of different things here. You could, I know this is going to be weird, but you could stack it with Instructor. Elemental Mastery works pretty decent in situations where you have the right team comp and you're doing a lot of reaction damage. You could pair it with Exile if you want to fire off your burst a little bit more often. You could pair it with Martial Artist so you can increase your normal and charge stack damage by another 15%. There's honestly so many different options that you can't go wrong. You could increase your elemental skill by 20% right here with the Gambler set, but just make sure that your ultimate goal is to eventually move into a Crimson Witch of Flame set, even if you have to mix and match some stuff to begin with. And on top of that, ultimately, you do want to have some pyro damage on your goblet. Usually the goblet is the off piece, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a Crimson Witch of Flames goblet, but make sure that it has pyro as its main stat. Crit rate and crit damage are going to be super critical on Diluc here. Remember that your Ascension stat is going to be in crit rate, so you can kind of mess around with some substats on your other 4 pieces and possibly do full on crit damage for your whole circlet, but just kind of depending on what you go, make sure you try to keep that 1-to-2 ratio at least 50% if you can get there, 50% or greater, of course. But, make sure that the 1-to-2 ratio still stays as true as possible, and you should be good. Of course, attack is super, super important. So make sure that you have an attack percent on your timepiece. At worst case scenario, have a 5-star feather so that you can get as much attack out of this as possible. If you don't want to go with an attack on your sands, you could actually end up going with energy recharge if you didn't go with like an Exile set, or if you're already at the full 4-piece of the Crimson Witch of Flames. That simply lets you get into your burst more often. You could go with Elemental Mastery, like we said earlier. It will help in just do more damage whenever you do reactionary stuff. It's very, very flexible in terms of the timepiece. Now, in terms of which way you want to level these up, as a DPS, this is pretty self-explanatory. Normal attacks are going to be used the absolute most often. Searing Onslaught, considering that it has 3 different hits on it, this is an amazing one to level up. And then Dawn, all of these are going to be super, super critical. I would just say 30 34% of the time, 33% of the time, 32% of the time, but try to level them all up and just keep him as stacked as possible. So this is the measly set that I have on my Diluc. It's nothing insane. I've only been farming Crimson Witch for what, 2 weeks now, maybe. So I don't have like the best of things, but these aren't nothing to scoff at, honestly. A level 14 flower has crit damage on it, not the best other stats. This has crit damage and energy recharge on it, which is fine. This has crit damage on it. Obviously, you can see I kind of chose things that have crit damage just because he's going to be doing a lot of crit damage anyways. This is a crit rate helmet that I have, so it ends up working out to where we do 43 here and 76 here. That's about as close as I can get to the 1-to-2 ratio. I do have a crit rate helmet that will do a lot higher crit damage, but at a cost of a lot of crit rate. So I thought about going with Serpent Spine as my weapon from the Battle Pass this go around, simply because I don't have C2. It won't conflict that bad. I still am undecided. I don't know if I want to go with Solar Flare yet or not, because, you know, and there's a bunch of polearm characters that are coming soon, so I don't know if I want to go with Deathmatch either. Energy recharge, you can see 151%. That's fine. The 30% healing bonus is because there's Child and Sing Show on here. The power damage only 49.8. This isn't insane, but it's, I mean, it does really good damage. As a DPS, you seriously want to invest in the level of your character mostly. Leveling up your character is going to be doing a ton of extra damage. As you kind of progress in levels, you get extra base stats and stuff like that, which helps increase this attack number, yada, yada, yada. So this Diluc will only get even freaking better. Now, I am in the process of farming out the Cryo Regis Vines. So we're going to go do some stuff against that. Now, keep in mind, I do have level 60 Diluc. I do have level 6 on all my talents, thanks to Child, you know, keeping me from leveling up my normal attack one more time, saving some materials there. But keep in mind that all of this is at level 60. Actually, every single character on this roster is at level 60. And this flower, this Regis Vine, is going to be at level 91. Yeah, 91. So let's do some damage here. All right. So let's go ahead and start this. And then we're going to pop Sing Show. And we're just going to do a ton of vaporized damage. So this is pretty gnarly. I don't know if there is a optimal pattern for Diluc in terms of like his normal combo. I'm sure there is. I keep in mind, I literally got Diluc off the Albedo banner, so I don't have like the most experience with him, but he's literally like an easy button. So I want to get Sing Show's ult, and I want to get Bennett's ult really quick. Let's pop all of this, and we're going to pop this. And we're just going to see this thing literally just vaporize away. Alright. Oh, well. I was going to say let's see that ult hit one more time, but you kind of get the idea. That's so sad, dude. That is so sad. But yeah, there's not much to Diluc. Honestly, he is literally one of those characters that you can just literally pour all of the stats into. But that is going to be pretty much it for Diluc, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. That's pretty self-explanatory. So the next poll, like I said, will not include any 5 stars because literally we don't have... Oh, we have Zhongli. I totally forgot about Zhongli. Oof. Well, he's not going to be on it simply because this one had a 5-star on it and the 5-star was chosen. So we're going to go with Xiangling, Barbara, Chongyun, and Lisa. And after that, whoever gets chosen will fall out and Zhongli will replace them. And then after that, we're literally whittling it down to only a few characters. So Ganyu will be released before I get completely finished, so I'm sure she'll be included in the polls at some point. But that is Diluc. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I also posted, by the time this video comes out, it should have been yesterday, I posted a video about domains. If you haven't watched that, I'm actually looking for some strong feedback on it, kind of what would be more beneficial for you guys for me to go over in the domain specifically. I go through each and every level that you're going to be able to fight it at, all the enemies that are in each and every level, and kind of like some example ideas with free-to-play characters and talking about like do's and don'ts of teams and characters and stuff like that. But let me know if you watched that video. video. If there's any feedback, go please comment on that video. Anyways, thank you. See you later. Major shout out to Cherry Blue, who is a YouTube member.